I was visiting my cousin back in Pasadena, having just recently moved out of New York. I had just turned 18. I'd gotten tired of everything. I don't hate my family or anything, but I was tired. I was really tired of all the same old stuff. The same kid stuff I grew out of, like Teletubbies, Backyardigans, etc., etc. However, when I was in Pasadena, I was over the Christmas holiday. My cousin had just came over. He was 15. I remember he was 4. He was really into Paw Patrol. I'd figured he'd grown out of that, so I figured I'd hang out with him, because I was already tired of the kiddie stuff, my twin sister who's my age. But then, when I started talking to him, the vibes kept switching over, and I realized for some reason, to this day, he still was into Paw Patrol at 15. He kept talking about how his favorite pup was the Dalmatian, and how the animation was better in the movie than the kids show. He took me to his room, and he showed me this map layout of Paw Patrol City. His wallpaper was filled with a Dalmatian. In the corner was a crusty stuffed animal that had smelled really bad of drool. I realized he hadn't grown up at all. I was stuck being alone. I was trying to make my way out of his room, saying my girlfriend was calling, but he said he wanted to play a game with me. He wanted to play Paw Patrol World with me. I didn't want to make him feel bad, because he was my only cousin, so I relented. But he didn't pull out his Xbox. He pulled out his laptop, which had the webcam taped over with scotch tape. He pulled up the game on his browser, a Tor browser, for those who are not as tech savvy as me, so he'd enter the dark web. He pulled up a website that said Paw Patrol World. It came with the games, and I figured it was just some emulator business. But then the screen decided to freeze, and on it, Chase the dog was looking at both of us with a cold, dead stare. There was no music, no anything. I thought the game had froze for a second, but then my cousin had moved the cursor, and yep, the game was moving, so I told him to press enter, and he did. And for some reason, the game never started. But I look at Chase, and for some reason, his eyes started bleeding black blood. Chase started speaking backwards. What kind of game was this? What was happening? Is this some dream? And my cousin started chanting all the pups' names in unison. I yelled his name. Cornelius. What are you? He interrupted me. Chase, Marshall, Sky, Rocky, Rubble, Zuma, Cornelius, stop, Everest, Tracker, Tuck, Ella, Cornelius, no, Rex, Wild, Rory, Shade, Cousin, Leo, Liberty, Al, Cora, Roxy. All of a sudden, my ears started to bleed, and I heard this loud ringing sound in my ears. I felt like I was going to pass out. I heard my mom yell, Cornelius, Tony, time for dinner. Cornelius shut the laptop like nothing had happened. All the pain in my ears went away. We both went to dinner. He tried to take me back to his room. I told him I couldn't, and I ran out of the house quickly. My parents called later when I was in the hotel. They told me I was irrational. But I know what I saw. I knew they'd never believe me because they would think I was crazy. The crazy part is, I'm typing this as I wake up from a dream. I saw Chase again. I'm starting to want to play the Paw Patrol World.
This is a story from when I was 9 years old. I was watching Nick Jr. at 5 a.m. like I do every morning. It was cold this morning because it was winter. It was the coldest it had been in a while. At first, it was just the show with the yellow moose and the blue bird, Noggin. But as always, it changed. This morning was different. It was 5:30. Paw Patrol came on the screen. I didn't think anything of it, but things did seem off. I kept watching. The first instance that felt off was the theme song. The pitch was lower than usual, things a bit slower. I figured it was just a TV connection issue, because I only have a satellite dish. I continued watching anyway. I poured myself a bowl of Kix from the pantry. I ate the cereal as the show kept progressing. This episode was about Rubble the dog. He was one of my favorite characters. But that would change today. The show had kept going, and the pitch had gone back to normal. But all of a sudden, the TV started to cut in and out. It cut into a frame of Ryder, then cut to a black screen. The sound from the previous part, with Ryder, continued to freeze and distort. It held on the black screen. I cut back to Rubble the dog. He said,
"Yeah, let's do it."
but it kept glitching out. It replayed over and over again.
"Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
I tried to change channels, but the TV wouldn't let me.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it."
I was pressing every single button on the TV, but the channel wouldn't change. I heard a noise from my parents' bedroom and my mom was getting up. I knew it was too early to wake up my mom, and I wasn't supposed to be watching cartoons this morning. Her feet started pounding on the floor as she walked over. "Yeah, let's do it."
"Yeah, let's do it."
I kept trying to turn off the TV, but Rubble's voice kept getting louder. I ran to the back of the TV and unplugged it, and it finally shut off. My mom came in and she checked in on me. I had all the lights off, so I hoped she wouldn't notice. She didn't, luckily. She asked me if everything was okay. I told her I was putting back her shoes I stole the previous day when I was playing. She grunted. She grunted and walked back into her room. I sighed in relief. But then, Rubble's voice came booming over at an even louder volume. It hurt my ears and my mom started screaming. She yelled and asked what that noise was. I told her it was Rubble.
"Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rubble's voice then cut off and the show sped up to a different part in the episode. Rubble was shown barking at a guy, but this bark was the loudest of them all. It was so loud that it blew me back a bit. All of the other dogs started screaming in agony as well. My mom was yelling, but you couldn't hear her over the screaming. I heard an electric shock sound, and I watched out the window as I saw the satellite come rattling down the roof. It hit the ground with a thud. Rubble was still barking. More voices stacked, and the pressure on my ears got louder. I looked over at my mom, who finally came over to me, despite the pushback of the noise. She held my ears, and the noises kept building. I then felt her hands turn to blood on my ears, vibrating. She melted like a witch. The blood soaked in my ears and started muffling the sounds. Then, the shaking caused the roof to collapse, and it broke the TV and the sounds. What was left of my mother's body shielded me from the carnage, but I will forever remember the rubble that Rubble left my house in. I, to this day, have refused to ever watch satellite TV. I still watch Nick Jr., but when I see Paw Patrol, I change the channel.
Hey there. I overheard you talking about this insane last episode of Paw Patrol. You know, where it was the end of Adventure Bay, which was hit by a meteor.
Oh, yeah. And, I can tell you about that, but before we begin, I want to tell you about some of the backstory of Paw Patrol. If you don't know what the show is, then you're probably living under a rock, but I think you know what the show is. The show about a boy named Ryder. He's got a group of pups who goes on adventures in a city called Adventure Bay. But the episode you're talking about, it is disturbing, and it's narrated by Winnie the Pooh.
Who are you?
Marshall asked in fear.
No questions. You 10 are my next vessels.
The figure exclaimed.
Because you are next.
The figure berated and grabbed Marshall, Rubble, Chase, Rocky, Zuma, Sky, Everest, Tracker, Sweetie, and Arby by the necks and started to choke them. Ryder gasped as they were being choked. Meanwhile, the pups were screaming via their chokes. Moments later, they were coughing blood as it was drooling out of their mouths. The blood that drooled out of their mouths formed into an amalgamation and became the evil Paw Patrol variants, or in other words, the Evil Patrol. The members? Well, they were
Private.
Structure,
Walker.
Grassy,
Yoga.
ground,
Or in a trench.
Hyder,
Sour.
and McDonald. The pups continued to destroy what was left of Adventure Bay, including slaughtering the mayor and eating Ryder alive. The evil patrol lived on and conquered all.